The future of retirement looks grim, and it's not by accident, it's by design. For decades, corporations and policymakers have been busy killing the retirement dream for the middle class. Gen X has been set up to fail, and it's not because we didn't try hard enough, but because the math has been stacked against us from the very start. In this video, I'll show you who killed retirement, how they did it, and what we can still do about it. First, let's talk about the quiet death of the pension. The idea that the average American could self-fund 25 to 30 years without a paycheck, that was never realistic, and they knew it. Before our generation, retirement was simple. Work hard, stay loyal, retire with a pension. You don't have to do complex calculations. We'll take care of you. A pension that guaranteed income for the rest of your life with no market risk, no guesswork, no disciplined saving. Then came the 1980s. Corporations began replacing pensions with 401ks, not because they were better for us, the workers, but because they were cheaper for the employers. A pension said, we'll take care of you. A 401k says, hey, you're on your own. Best of luck. They knew a lot of people just wouldn't have the discipline, the education, or the extra cash to fund that kind of savings. According to Vanguard, the median retirement savings balance for people in their 50s is currently $60,000. That's not enough to fund a single year of retirement for most households, especially at the rate we're spending at. And yet, we were told just max out your contributions, invest smart, and you'll be fine. Really? Max out on stagnant wages, rising rents, exploding costs? Come on. Okay, so let's talk about how the system shifted. And here's the part they never explained. The 401k was never designed to replace pensions at all. It began as a 1978 tax loophole for high-income earners to defer some of that income. But once corporations realized they could shift that retirement risk to their employees, the light bulb went off. Companies could now predict their labor costs by cutting those lifetime pensions. Wall Street could profit from all of the fees on all of these individual investment accounts. It's a realignment intended to transfer risk from institutions to individuals. And you can't outsave a system where, healthcare costs have risen over 200% since the 1990s, and college tuitions have tripled. Housing costs have outpaced wages for decades now, and consumer marketing, it just keeps us chasing more and more and better and better. Even diligent savers, they know they're on a treadmill where the incline just keeps rising and rising. Retirement, as the boomers know it, unfortunately, that's dying. And we're the ones inheriting the leftover pieces. Hey, before I get to the next point, can I just briefly mention that I post videos weekly, and I have over 100 videos in my channel catalog, all covering topics such as retirement strategy, midlife reinvention, even nostalgia. If that sounds like that might be a match for you, then please hit the subscribe button. It's totally free, and it lets me know that this is the kind of information you value. Thank you. So the third point I want to talk about is the new reality that we're facing. Gen X, we got handed the DIY retirement kit. 401ks, IRAs, without being told that the economy would fight us all the way. Once again, We are the bridge generation. The first to leave the pension world behind and go off into uncharted territory. We didn't fail at the system. No, the system is failing us. And when we ask the hard questions, how much do I really need? Will I run out of money before I die? Who's answering those questions? Not the government that wrote the 401k rules. No, not them. Not the corporations that ended the pensions. No, not them either. Not Wall Street, and certainly not the politicians. The voices left are financial planners whose very careers were built because of this DIY retirement system. Or you have content creators trying to connect the dots. Or economists who want to write a really good finance story. And nobody has come up with a great answer. We just keep hearing, save $1 million, or save 10 times your salary, or 25 times your expenses. To me, it feels eerily similar to the 1980s. We had no answers to our questions back then, and we have no answers now. And of course, back in the 1980s, we didn't even know the questions to ask. And maybe that's part of the problem today. We don't know exactly the right questions. So it's up to us to redefine retirement. And here's the uncomfortable truth. The actual word retirement may soon become as outdated as the word pension itself. Because for a lot of us, living solely off of our savings and Social Security, that's going to be problematic. What will it look like when we're 70? More than likely, costing even more than it does today. So if modern day retirement was engineered to fail, what do? Many of us don't have a choice but to redefine it. Not so much as stopping work, but as looking at it as a way of taking back some control, through flexibility or multiple income streams, and living on our terms, not theirs. For me personally, I don't really know exactly what retirement looks like for me. Currently, and for the past several years, I've been saving 20 to 30% of my pay, mainly trying to make up for a late start. When my mom moved in with me, when I started taking care of her, that cut my living expenses some. That gave me the ability to save a little more. And I started this channel for several reasons. But one of those reasons was hoping that one day in the future that I could have this as a side gig and possibly earn something from it. And I'm going to be real. The things that I am doing, it's a lot of work and it's a lot of sacrifice. And I'm fully aware that more than likely I will need to work part-time through some of my retirement, especially if costs continue to escalate the way they are. And I share all of this because I want you to know that I'm not just here spouting off some advice. No, I'm living it, just like many of you are. Could all of this still not be enough? Yeah, maybe. But that's a hard truth that many of us are probably going to live with. I know for me, at some point, I'm finally just going to say enough. I'm not getting any younger. Whatever hybrid retirement I come up with, then let's get it going. Let's go for it. And I am in full warrior mode, not a victim. I don't expect retirement to be handed to me on a silver platter, but it would have been a lot better if so many obstacles hadn't been put in our way. And I fully admit that I always wanted the retirement that my parents and my grandparents had. In some ways, it could be a lot better. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. I mean, you tell me, do you still believe that we can create real financial security to fully retire, or are we redefining something new? It's not too late to improve our odds. If you want more ideas on how to ratchet up your savings even more with the years that you have left, then check out my playlist on tips and strategies to save more. I'll link it right here. So stay strong and try not to get discouraged. Yes, retirement, as we've known it, may be dying, but we're Gen X and we can figure something out. I'll see you in a few more days. Have a great week. Bye.